Hello, everyone, and welcome to our bi-monthly strategic planning town hall. This one is for November. We are happy to talk a little bit about our where we are in the strategic planning process. I'll have a short presentation about what we have been doing and what we've been doing, and kind of a couple of examples of some information that we've received during our survey, and then we will open it up for questions from the community and anybody else who is on our chat or on our Zoom for tonight. So I guess I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Renee Sanchez, and I'm the CVSD superintendent. Bonnie, will you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Bonnie Birdsall. I'm the Director of Digital Learning and Communication for the school district.
And Jane, will you introduce yourself? Oops, Jane, you're on mute.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Jane Krasnow. I'm taking minutes for the meeting.
Right. Thank you. And then let's see. We have a few other folks who are on the call, so that way we can tailor any kind of questions or answers that as I'm going through the slideshow, I'd be happy to answer them. So feel free to introduce yourself at this time. I guess if not, we can do it at the end.
Hi, everybody. My name's Gloria Mantigaris. I'm an intensive needs paraeducator at the Shelburne Community School.
Thank you, Gloria. Hey, Dan, I know you, so would you mind introducing yourself?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were asking for the other people involved. So yes, I'm Dan York. I'm a parent of an 8th grader here at SCS.
All right.
I live in Shelburne.
Thank you, Dan. Erin, who are you holding, and who are you?
Hi, my name's Erin. We moved to Williston in June. Maddie is a feature student of yours. I work with Houston ISD remotely. And so I actually, in reading a little bit about your background, saw that you had some experience there. But yeah, I wanted to get a chance to kind of get plugged into the school district here too.
All right, that's wonderful. I'd love to talk to you online about what you do for Houston. Okay, great. All right, and if there's anybody else who'd like to introduce themselves and their connection to the school district, please go ahead and speak up now. Otherwise, we'll get started.
Hi, my name is Rebecca Abbott, and I am in Charlotte, and I have a son who is in the 6th grade at CCS. So I am just looking forward to trying to get plugged in here and kind of participate and see maybe if I can add or learn or any of those things and all of the above.
Okay, great, fantastic. Thank you, Rebecca. And we'll have some opportunities at the end. There is what I can do is I didn't include it as a slide, but there is a slide where we'll talk about potential objectives. And then when we get to the questions slide, if there are topics that people really want to make sure that they want emphasized in our school district, or they would like for us to consider, or they just want to praise it, as much as they possibly can, then we want to hear those things, because we want to make sure that we hear the things that we do well, the things that we could do better at and the things that we probably should stop. So that's essentially the goal of what the strategic planning process is. So anybody else? Okay, we'll look forward to opportunities for introducing ourselves later, especially when there are questions available. So, okay, I'll go ahead and get started. Am I sharing the screen? Probably not, right? Okay, let me share screen. Okay. Can you guys see the title page of the presentation?
Yes, we can.
I cannot see anybody. So Bonnie, I am at a loss. So you'll have to let me know if any hands go up or if somebody's looking to ask a question. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Whoa, I didn't mean to do that. Hold on. Let me click off of annotate because I think that's what happened. Okay. Okay, let's try again. Okay. Okay, so you may be aware, we held several community forums during the month of October. We held one at Williston on a Saturday morning. We held one at the Shelburne Library during the morning of a school day, and we held one at CVU in the evening. We wanted to make sure that we created multiple opportunities for families and employees and students to attend, so that way we could receive their feedback on the district and on the potential strategic plan for the district. So our facilitator is Dr. Phil Gore. He is a representative of the Vermont School Boards Association. And this is one of, I think this is the slide that he really emphasizes when he meets with the community and with the principals and even with the school board, is this idea of that when we are planning together for the future, that we're moving from schools that are essentially operating by themselves as a system of schools to one that operates together more efficiently and more efficaciously as a school system. So our goal as part of this strategic plan is to find that very sweet spot at the center of this Venn diagram. This idea of making sure that we are serving our students both in academic growth and in belonging. So that and the way that we need to be able to do that is to bring home all of the stakeholders and get them to share their hopes, their dreams, their expectations for our school district. So not just teachers and principals and school board members, but also family members, business members, taxpayers, so that way we are able to focus on this power of coherence, so that we're all pulling in the same direction. But we also, as we are communicating this idea of moving forward coherently, this system that we run, this school district that we run, has so many smaller systems within it. So the administration is one system, and they have a lot of mini systems underneath that. The community has a lot of expectations for us, which is fantastic. But there are also systems in dealing with and working for the community. As you probably know, the whole, I guess, learning and teaching realm, there are, whether it's curriculum, instruction, assessment, intervention, multi-tiered systems of support, or even looking at student behavior and trying to engage students. All of those things are systems. And then finally, when a school district is a political entity, so we have a school board whose job it is to make sure that we're governed by policy, that we're governed by practices, and that essentially we are fair. We manage our the taxes that we collect in a very strong stewardship, making sure that we're spending it efficiently and correctly on the things that we need in order to provide the best student outcomes. So this is really why we are focusing on the strategic plan, to make sure that all of our systems are functioning so that we're all pulling in the same direction. So you, as part of this, we are reviewing every aspect of who we are. So we're looking at our mission. You've probably seen it in school buildings, or you've seen it around. It's a mission that we created 11 or 12 years ago. The think creatively and critically, live responsibly and respectfully, learn actively and collaboratively, contribute positively to the community, and pursue excellence. And so we are looking at how that mission needs to be potentially updated, because I mean, it works out pretty well right now, but we want to make sure that is that the way that we are going to get to our ideal future. While we do have a mission, we don't really have a vision statement in place. We don't have a statement saying this is where we ideally would like to go. So we're going to have to compose a vision statement. And then we want to make sure that we have people who are ready to do the work. We have students, we have community members who are ready to do the work for this vision and the mission. So this is our current timeline. So we are a little bit behind, or I'm sorry, we will present a draft strategic plan to the school board for review and input. So between now and January 2023, so the next January, the steering committee and the administration will be distilling all of the information that we received from our community forums, these town halls, and the survey that we have out there, and creating kind of a first pass strategic plan for the board to review and to provide us input back. So once we have that, we are going to develop, well, this is a great plan, but how is it going to be measured? And so the goal is to develop the progress measures to go along with the plan. And since it's a 5-year plan, we want to make sure that we're creating what do we expect to create as a baseline from this year, so that 5 years hence, we're able to reach the goals that we're setting out as part of the strategic plan. And then finally, at our March board meeting, right after town meeting day, we plan to present the final strategic plan to the board for adoption. So that means despite, not even despite, but essentially, because we're going to be presenting this to the board in a public setting, that the community will be able to see our steps along the way. So I'm excited about that piece, because it's going to be great for our steering committee to put this together, but also to have other sets of eyes on it, so that we're able to make sure that we are producing exactly what the community is expecting us to produce. Yeah. So along the way, as we're writing this, we have an eye towards our district equity policy. You may know that in September, we presented the findings of an equity audit that our district undertook during the second semester of last year, from which we received 4 recommendations. The first one was to essentially create a shared vision that we implement and fund. The second one is to make sure that we have a strong data system so that we can monitor our student outcomes, not just for all students, but also for students from marginalized populations. Our third one is to make sure that we are able to hire and recruit and train and advance a workforce as part, whether teachers, administrators, and do as much as we can to make sure that we have a diverse workforce as well. And then the final one is to continuously expand our engagement with the community to make sure that we're listening to all voices, not just the voices within the district, but including students, parents, and community members. So as we're developing the progress measures, as we're developing the draft strategic plan, we will always have our eye towards making sure that we are inclusive for all of our community members. And so the best way to do that is to follow our equity policy. Oh, that's really interesting. So I included, so hopefully if you have not filled out your survey yet, here's a great time to get your phone out and take a picture of the QR code. While we will post this presentation tonight or tomorrow morning to the website, you'll be able to visit that website. So if you get a chance and you haven't done so yet, please fill out the survey. We're going to leave it open till likely this Friday or Saturday. So if you get the opportunity, please, you fill it out, have your neighbors fill it out, have your kids fill it out. Tell us what we need to know in order to help us plan for the strategic plan. And I apologize for the multiple exclamation points. I don't exactly know what happened there, but it's funny. Okay, so these next few slides are kind of a little bit of an insight into what we've been able to see in the survey. Right now, we have about 400 total people, or 400 total responses to the survey. And as you can see, these are the breakdowns of that 400, the 400 responses. And so most of them have been parent or caregivers, but one of the things that I can also share is that people could be they could have multiple roles. So they could be a parent and an employee of the school district. So that's kind of an insight to this. So the next few slides, we're not providing exact data yet because the survey is still open, but one of the really cool aspects of the survey tool that we're filling out, or that we're using, creates these wordles that show us by the size of the word how many times that word appears in the responses in the survey. So one of the questions that we have is, what are you proud of in CVSD? And that you have there's some ranked choice voting that you can select. But then in addition to that, we give the people to have essentially an other. And so within that, you see that this is when you look at the words from those responses, these are the words that we get. So as you can see, the students and the community are the things that are most often mentioned, followed closely by our schools and staff and pride or proud. So that's really saying a lot, that people are very proud of the students and the community and the schools. So the next one is question 8, which is, what other important issue might students be facing? So we can see right off the bat, and this is something that we've been hearing from our administrators and from our families and from our students, that, there is the mental health aspect of this particular year has been really challenging. And then social media too are also very large as well. So we're going to have to look and see how that is written within the language from the survey. Lack is also really big there. So I'm wondering if lack has to do with mental health as well. And I also think that climate being in red is also going to be something that we really need to look at. But as you can see, some of these words are very powerful and they need to be looked into as well. So what other challenge is important to you? We asked our survey takers. And again, focusing on students, focusing on support and our teachers and other opportunities and education. These are, again, our biggest words. So instruction is also a fairly large word. So these are challenges that when we're looking at the when we're going to be looking at the text of the Wordle, how this actually is written, so that way we can make sure that we address it. And that is effectively the end of the presentation. And so more than anything, I wanted to be able to, let's see, I'm going to stop share. I wanted to be able to give people the opportunity to ask questions, give feedback. There is one last little slide that I want to add. I thought it was there, but it was not there. So I guess at this point, if anybody has a question about the presentation that has been given, I would be happy to answer it. And then we could move on to just asking questions about what is there in the district that you would like for us to talk about or to address or stop as if we're able to. So let's see. Bonnie, do you see any hands raised?
I don't at this time, but given the size of the group, it might just be possible for people to unmute when they have something to share.
Okay. I am. Huh. Gloria, since you attended one of the events, would you describe what the community forum was like?
I thought it was great. It was really great to be working with other community members. Our parents and staff were there, and just to hear that so many of us have the same concerns and questions. So I'm looking forward to working with the community and moving forward on this for sure.
Yeah, and I really and I thank you so much for being present there and bringing your colleagues, so that way we had the ability to listen to support staff concerns, and basically having a window into the schools. So thank you for that.
Yes, of course. And, it was interesting. A lot of, we had a great discussion just about like facility concerns and staffing concerns, our student concerns, mental health, and all of those things that you're showing tonight. So it's great that you're pulling all this information from everybody. I appreciate it.
So funny. So funny. I am trying to gather there is a slide that I wanted to show that I cannot find for whatever reason. Let me go back. Does anybody have any other thoughts or anything that they would like to share?
I guess I'm curious, as you start to hear some of these themes from the community meetings and the survey, what data sources from within the district you're also going to be looking at to consider as you start to put this proposal together.
So thank you for that, Erin. So we are going to be looking at, so academically, we're going to be looking at our interim assessment data. Our interim assessment tool is iReady. So we'll be looking at that. We'll also be looking at our summative assessment tool, which is it was SBAC, or the Smarter Better assessments, which are Common Core based, but the state just changed it to another provider called Cognia. So we'll be looking at that. But additionally, we're going to be looking at discipline data. We're going to be looking at At our social emotional data, we use a tool that's created within our district called Engage at the high school. We're expecting that our students will take it as well. There's another social emotional tool that we use called Close Gap. So it's really important for us to get a picture of the whole student, not just purely, based on money or based on teacher allocations or on the number of kids receiving interventions. But we want to make sure that when we're presenting our metrics to the board, that those metrics actually drive improvement. And so it's not just saying we want to have this thing or this activity by the end. We actually want to make sure that we're creating metrics that show school student growth along the way, because the goal is to review our measures after the first 2 years to see if they are actually guiding us in a direction where we're growing as a school district. If they're not, we're going to have to reconfigure them so that way we are on a path in order for our students to be successful.
I saw teaching and instruction, or I heard Gloria maybe speak to it. I'm curious about data sources from teachers. Do you do anything like panorama surveys of teacher
Thank you for bringing that up. One of the things that I did not mention from our equity audit, part of our equity audit and our board goals are expecting us to do a teacher, or really a teacher and staff climate survey, as well as a parent caregiver climate survey as well. Because it's important for us to have that information, because historically we have not sought that information out. So that information is critical for us to understand if there are things that we could do better as a district, so that way we are working towards it in every school, so that way we become a school system versus a system of schools. Hi, Stephanie.
Hi.
Would you introduce yourself to everyone?
Sure. Thank you. Sorry, I was a little late. My name is Stephanie Dupre, and I'm a speech language pathology assistant at CVU and a parent of 2 kids in the district. And I've been working for the district for about 7 years, and I was a co-coordinator of a paraeducator mentor program for the whole district, along with Gloria Mantigaris. And I just wanted to be a part of this committee, this planning, to hear, where the district is going and offer, some input from kind of 2 lenses, as a parent, but also as an employee.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. Rebecca, you were saying something and then I cut you off. I apologize.
Oh, no, that's okay. I just, and I sort of lost my train of thought, so bear with me. You said something that I was just trying to get a little more clarity on, and that is how we become, how we grow as a district. How is that? What do you mean exactly by that? I mean, I don't believe you're referring to like growing in numbers.
Oh, no.
I believe you. Right. So I'm just trying to get an understanding of, I mean, that's what I assumed. So I was trying to get an understanding of when you refer to the district growing, what does that mean exactly?
So thank you for that question. That is really a great segue. I'm going to share my screen again because I finally found the thing that I was looking for. And no, it's I do not sing for YouTube. I hope everybody was on mute because I didn't hear anybody laugh. These are the things that I'm speaking of, Rebecca. So we have about, I guess, 6 years ago now, or 5 or 6 years ago, we became a consolidated school district. So prior to that, we were, every town had its own school district. Its school was its school. CVU had its own school district, and then there was one kind of supervisory district over all of that. And so each school had its own school board, and had really the purview of a lot of different aspects that the district manages now. We shared a business office, we shared some special education, and we share a superintendent and so the superintendent ran the school district, but the superintendent was always, had that many board meetings and board members to serve in the process. So now that we were able to really start working towards consolidation for 2 years, and then COVID hit. And then during COVID, we responded to COVID, and we had to put the efficiencies and the equity and the equity of resources and the efficacy of working as a consolidated district. We had to put it on hold a little bit. So that means that there are some systems in place right now that could be strengthened. And so as a district, we need to grow to make sure that those systems are fully functional, so that way we have the ability to support our schools, support our principals and our teachers, as well as our students as a district. But at the same time, we need to be able to make sure that when we say that we're supporting academics, there's a lot of different components that go into academics. And so when we were talking at our community forums, we often tied academics and well-being together, because it's really hard for a student to be successful in school if they haven't been eating nutritious meals, if they haven't been getting a lot of sleep, if they are having mental health issues, if they feel like if they speak a different language. So there's a lot of different components in order for academics and well-being to fit in for students. So we have to make sure that the systems that we have created, or the systems that we have, are completely fleshed out and they're serving every student. And so these are essentially the 8 topics that we asked members of the community to think about, and in what the district does well, what the district could do better, and what the district essentially needs to stop doing because it's not functional. And so these are the topics that I think, well, I guess, let me make sure. Rebecca, did I answer your question?
Yes. For the sake of this conversation, yeah, definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so there are pieces of, I mean, I could go on in about all of our systems, because all of our systems could use a little bit, or a certain amount, or quite a bit of assistance. But these are things that we need to make sure that internally we're working towards making them whole.
Yeah, it sounds like, and please do correct me if I'm wrong or misunderstanding, but it seems like the consolidation of the district was going on, and then of course we had this pandemic happen and the world changed, and so we as a community and we as a district have not really reaped any of the benefits, or maybe not, I shouldn't say any, but we haven't really seen what it means to be a consolidated district. Would that be an accurate statement, or not really?
I would say that we are reaping some of the benefits at this time, but that there should be more along the way. And so part of that is just making sure that that we are focused on the students along the way, at the same time while we're supporting our principals and our teachers and our staff. So I at this time, if there's something that anybody would like to share about any one of these topics, you are more than welcome to, well, just unmute and share it with us. And again, the way that it was done in the community meetings was, if there's something that's going on that's really great, please let us know. If there's something that we could improve upon, please let us know. Or if there's something that we need to have our attention drawn to so we can either improve it or sunset it, please let us know.
Renee, it's Gloria. I have a question.
Sure.
So as you're compiling this information and coming up with this final draft, or, the draft for January, who is compiling it and who's doing that work?
So we have, you're on that committee. So you're part of the steering committee is going to have access to the data. So that way we can begin focusing on what the strategic plan is going to look like. So part of my job is to get it into an organized fashion over the Thanksgiving holidays, so that way when we start meeting, when the steering committee starts meeting in December, that we have it in a way that people can read it easily and work through it quickly.
Okay. Thank you.
It's a good question.
What are you looking for next, Renee, in terms of help from the community or pieces like that?
So, I mean, at this point, we still need people to complete the survey and be really honest with us. If there are other kind of other issues that need to be addressed, if they can be submitted to us via our Let's Talk portal. And because I think we have one, there's a place where you could select strategic plan, right, Bonnie?
Yes, there is.
On the Let's Talk portal. So
Yes,
if there's anything that you want to really, like, the survey maybe doesn't let you put in as much as you want to put in, then please go to the Let's Talk and put it in there.
Hi, my name is Donna Roser, and I live in Williston. And I'm curious because I've seen some things in some of the social networks that I've seen regarding facilities. So I believe there's talk of wanting to move the district building out here to Williston. So my question is this, I'm not that familiar with it at all, but just from what I'm reading, I thought I read something that there was going to be a school board vote maybe in the next week or so on that. But I'm thinking, when I was hearing you talk, you were talking about getting all this information and then, it's going to be a 3-4 month process to pull all this together. So are you, as a school board, going to be voting on the new facility for the district prior to this overall program, this process that you're going at now? Are you taking that out separately, and will you be making a decision on that in the next couple of weeks? That's my question.
Okay, so thank you for the question. So so originally we created a committee to review the possibility of moving our central office to a facility, a location in Williston. And so we have recently done our first past budget numbers and due for next year. And so due to that, we have sunset the committee. We no longer have plans to move to Williston. So had we continued to look into moving to Williston, that would have been a separate vote than the strategic plan.
Okay, but so the movement of the district offices is off the table for present.
That is correct.
Okay, perfect. When you talk about facilities, I'm assuming you're talking about the this different school buildings and sizing and fit to the number of students, et cetera, that type of thing. Is that correct?
And modernization and safety.
Okay. Thank you.
As well as, well, I guess that would be covered in modernization. Yeah. So not just the buildings, but the grounds and the other aspects of the school building facilities or buildings and grounds where we need to be able to provide a safe way for students to be able to participate in their activities. While I have everybody here, and Bonnie, I want you to participate in this one. So one of the things that we heard at multiple ones of our community forums was that there's a lot of communication that we provide. And I guess because you get it from central office, you get information from central office, you get information from the school, you sometimes also get information from the teacher. And if you could give me, I guess, is that true that you feel like you're oversaturated with information, or is it a matter of, yes, you like all that information, it's just a lot of information?
Renee, it's Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie.
I would say it, yes, it's a lot of information. However, a lot of it is necessary. And while so many families fall into the category of teachers and community and things like that, so many emails come out. I guess I would just ask a question pertaining to that information, things that come out from the district. Do those go out to the entire community or just those that have kids in the district?
I can answer that. It's Bonnie. Renee, I'm wondering if you want to stop sharing your screen now.
No, just kidding.
Oh.
All right, done.
Yeah, the district newsletter that goes out to the parents, and it also goes out to faculty and staff. So that's the first method that and groups that it goes out to. I do try to also share those on our social media platforms and Front Porch Forum so that it goes out to the larger community as well, not just parents.
And just another question to follow up with that, let's say families that have access to the social media websites and things like that, could they opt out of getting the emails since they have access to other things, or is it a listserv?
It's the email system that we use is a platform called School Messenger, and we would hope that people would not opt out because then they won't get other messages. They won't get messages from their school specifically, for example. So we can't pick and choose. I want these kind of messages, but I don't want these. It's either all or nothing.
Everybody's waiting for that first
Thanks.
snow message. Well, that being said, thank you, Bonnie, and thank you, Stephanie. Is there a type of communication that is missing? So is there something that you wish you received more of that we're not providing?
If I could say, as my parent hat on, the way that we're getting grades for our kids is through jump rope and portals and things like that, which does seem like another part-time job, in addition to all of the emails and links and everything like that. And is there a way to, maybe I'm dating myself and a little old school, but just to get a paper report card that comes home so that I could look at it and go, oh, okay. And as opposed to, logging in, looking it up and things like that. Like I said, I may be really dating myself and it's the preferred method, but I just like a good old fashioned report card.
I am laughing because I 100% agree with that statement. And I often wonder the same, and maybe that is dating ourselves, but I do feel like sometimes it would be a lot easier and more efficient to just get a good old fashioned piece of paper with that info.
I believe that K4, the report cards are sent home as a hard copy and I can't say it's a single piece of paper, but and jump rope, however, that is more used grades 5 through 12. And the benefit of jump rope is that you not only see kind of where the student is overall in a particular class, but then you can go down deeper and you can see what activities and assignments led to that and what formative assessments fed into that. So you actually get a lot more information, and yes, it takes time to delve deeper. But you get more than a piece of paper, and printing out just the cover sheet would not give you the full picture.
Dan, you have your hand raised.
So I was just going to join the commentary here that I don't know that I'm okay with getting the grades. Our daughter's in 8th grade and she's been at SCS for 7th and 8th. And I think the challenge is there's a bunch of different places, right? So there's some stuff in jump rope, but then I get messages about stuff in Seesaw. And sometimes I get messages in Seesaw and I go in there and there isn't anything new or something, even though I'm told there's something new. And then I get stuff in other places, and then I need to go to read the newsletter in something else, and I go to someplace else. And it's just, there's a lot of places, and it would just be great if there was kind of one place I could go and find that kind of info. So that would be my comment on that regard.
So Dan, thank you for that. In fact, we had a meeting this afternoon about that kind of data system as part of the equity audit and the board goals. We are trying to find a way to have our platforms talk to one another. So moving into the future, we want to be able to create a parent portal where you're able to see, of course, the grades, but also other data that we have on your students. So like when we have the iReady scores, when we have PSAT scores or SAT scores or things like that, so that way you and your student can have conversations about that data, or you can reach out to the school and find out more about, well, what is this score actually telling us about our student. So that is something that is in the works, and we're starting it this year, so hopefully we can have something next year, but then realistically it'll probably be another couple of years, but we hope to have something in place for next year.
Okay, well, I think that would help, because it is a lot of different things, and you lose track of it. And I don't actually even know why. I go to jigsaw versus seesaw versus jump rope versus whatever, so. I have another comment, I think, about, it's not directly on this, but one of the things that's interesting, so it's our second year at SCS. So my daughter went to Virtual Learning Academy, the VLA, which was awesome, by the way. She actually did very well in that. And it was thank you to the district for providing that. For the folks who knew, it was a truly virtual, it was really a fifth school, so to speak, that was during the pandemic. And then she's been at SCS last year and this year. One of the things, we came from a different system and things. One of the things I found very puzzling is, as a parent, I would like to go to parent-teacher conferences and learn from my teachers how my daughter's doing, how she's in the school and everything else. But what I find is weird, at least in SCS, is that there's actually a penalty for the kids whose parents want to go in and have a parent-teacher conference. Because if they are, then the kids are required to create a presentation and be part of the discussion and stuff with the parents. And so, when the notices have come out about parent-teacher conference, my daughter's been quite honest and say, I really wish you wouldn't, because then I have to go through the work of creating this whole presentation for you to be able to come in and talk to and everything else. So it seems a bit like it's penalizing the kids or whose parents want to come in and be engaged. So I would just provide that feedback. I wish there was a way that we could come in and talk to the parents or talk to the teachers and not get their understanding and understand how our kids are doing and that kind of stuff without creating a situation where our kids are the ones going and creating this information where other kids are not.
Stephanie.
And if I could just piggyback on that, Dan, I agree. The past few years, conferences have been like student-led versus me as a parent just being able to go in and talk to the teacher without my child there. And, I feel like there may be times where we do have to have an adult conversation without our kids present. And I feel as though there have been multiple conferences where I have attended where it's been really looked down upon that my child, like I have not taken my child because I want to talk directly with the teacher. And it hasn't been well received that I have left my child at home or something like that. So.
And I get the impulse to have a student, to have the student involved. But it feels like, at least my experience is, that we're asking them to do extra work, to go in there and do that.
So Dan, is that for a parent-teacher conference that's during the parent-teacher conference dates, or is that any time that you want to have a parent-teacher conference about?
It's during those dates. It's when the prime teacher sends out a message saying you can sign up for student-teacher conferences. And so my reaction has always been, I want to go and understand that. But then it's kind of like, well, Dad, if you do, I have to go do this work.
Okay. All right. So definitely good to know.
Can I just, Renee, I work at Shelburne, and Dan, I believe all students, whether their parents come or not, go through that self-reflection of their work. So it's not extra work that's being put on that student because their parents coming. They're all doing that self-reflection work, and in case parents come or don't come.
That's not the message coming from the kids.
Okay.
And my daughter's friends and others who are not having their parents go.
Okay.
So
Dan, I'm wondering if you've reached out to the teacher to inquire about setting up a separate meeting without your student there?
In the last message, the one he did invite that, and I have been thinking about setting that up and doing that. But before that was new. Before that, that was not an option or not offered.
Thank you, Dan. All right. Okay. any final thoughts before we wrap up tonight's event?
But just thank you for doing this work. I mean, I think it is important. You know, we moved here in 2018, and so the CVSD, you know, had already happened. So it was news to, you know, we just kind of came in here and like, oh, okay, this is sort of going on. And it was also just useful to hear what you said a bit about where it was, because that has actually never been fully explained as to where we were and why different things have seemed to be a set of discrete, as you said, a system of schools versus a school system. So that was helpful.
Yeah, you know, having a supervisory union in Vermont. So first of all, thank you. Having a supervisory system, a supervisory union in Vermont where you've got that many school boards, that many school board members, and meetings every 2 weeks. I mean, a superintendent, really their focus is on curating the board work. And so now I'm very fortunate that I can, you know, I've got one district, one board, where I can focus on all aspects of the district. And that's, you know, that's one of the things that I take particular pleasure in. And granted, Bonnie will tell you, I don't have a whole lot of time to do anything else, but I'm so focused on the district but it's the right work, because we're wanting to make sure that the kids have access to what they need to be successful.
Renee, is there going to be another town hall, or is this it?
So we will have one more, we will have these town halls take place every other month. So we'll have a January town hall and a March town hall for strategic planning. So the January town hall, since you'll be a part of it, you'll be able to know ahead of time where we're going to be. The March one will be kind of a recap right before the board vote, although I don't know if it'll be after the board vote. It'll be after the board vote, because the strategic planning, this town hall takes place on the second Wednesday. Town meeting day is the first Monday, right? Or Tuesday? First Tuesday. So that means we have to move our committee meetings. We have to move our committee meetings from that Tuesday to that Thursday. So it'll be our strategic planning town hall will take place the Wednesday after the board vote. But it'll be good because we'll be able to talk about the components of it and share it with the community.
Awesome. Well, I just want to say I appreciate having everybody speak tonight. Personally, I love to hear that other, like Dan coming from somewhere else, having a different lens. It's really important to hear that, and for us to kind of put those things into perspective. So I really appreciate the opportunity to hear from the community on how we can serve our students better. So thank you as an educator to all you parents who are here tonight. I really, really appreciate it.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming tonight. Just kind of keep an eye out. We'll send more information, but and if you have time, please join us for our diversity, equity, and inclusion town hall, which will take place in December on this same Wednesday, the second Wednesday. And we will talk a little bit more about our equity audit and how it fits into the strategic plan. So thank you so much for coming tonight. Aaron, send me an email so we can reconnect about Houston ISD.
I'd be happy to.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night.